Hey everyone. Welcome to Love, Laughs, and Lessons. Dr. Frankie Bashan here. And for those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm a clinical psychologist, board certified sex therapist, and the CEO of Little Gay Book and Little Black Book Matchmaking. I've been practicing for over 2 decades, and I am thrilled to be here co-hosting this podcast with my amazing co-host, Denise, who I could not do this without. Thrilled to have her. And she's going to introduce herself. Take it away.
Yeah. So, hello. I'm Denise Ray, and I work with Dr. Frankie. I am a certified matchmaker and relationship coach, and I am so pleased to welcome Michal. Michal began her amazing career in matchmaker at the 3 Day Rule, eventually launching her own Philadelphia-based venture, Michal Matches, in 2022. With a deep-rooted focus on the Jewish community, Michal brings over 7 years of expertise to her clients. Her unique approach to matchmaking transcends traditional boundaries by incorporating elements of life coaching, particularly noteworthy during the challenging times of the pandemic. Michal was on the front lines helping those who felt isolated reconnect with the world. So, armed with a background in human sexuality, Michal has positioned herself as more than a matchmaker. She's a super connector. And when I read that, I love that. I was like, yes, yes. She champions the importance of a mindset and readiness for success in love. Her philosophy is centered on guiding clients through the dating landscape with optimism and a purposeful purposeful mindset, emphasizing the divine aspect of love and the power of personal connection. So, Michal, welcome. We are so pleased to get into it. Let's hear all about it. And of course, have you on the program.
I'm pleased too. Thanks for having me.
And you're definitely a super connector because since I've met you, I've connected with more people than I connect on my own.
And you just did like a major super connection with the Intercon.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
please tell us like all about that.
I'm like really trying to figure out who am I as a super connector versus the other matchmakers because I'm like, aren't we all connectors? Aren't we all super connectors? But it's really defined as someone who gets this pure joy, this like really beautiful, pure joy out of connecting to people. Like I connect ideas, I connect thoughts, I create connection spaces. I love to connect one-on-one. I'm like, sometimes I'm surprised. I'm like, aren't we all like that?
No,
Right?
you have a
No, okay.
special extra super power skill set when it comes to that. Sure, we all in this industry, we like people, we love people, right? We have to love people. How could we not? Um,
Mhm.
but you take it to the next level. Like you're always thinking, I think you think about, oh wow, this person should definitely know Dr. Frankie. And like you'll take the time out of your busy day. You've got 2 young kids, you have a husband, and you have a business that you're running and building, and you'll do an introduction. Like that's
True.
special. Yeah.
Just
And
feels
on
so
the
good.
strength of who you are, people are so ready to connect, right? So that's why you're a like anyone can make an introduction, and maybe people don't follow through, and maybe they do. But because of who you are, yes, they're like, I've got to connect with that person, you
It's
know? So
true.
that's it's different. It's different.
I kind of liken it to like the experience of like a realtor or something where, when they just say like, oh, what about this house for you? You go, oh, ooh, ah, like somebody understood me and someone had their eyes on it. So all of us can be connectors in many ways, but the way that you receive it from another person, it's nice. It just makes you more like primed and ready, whether it's a date, although dates are harder, I know, or a friend or a business connection.
I feel special. I'm like, wow, Michal thinks that I should know this person that she thinks highly of. It's just you're left with this good feeling. Like Michal's got me, you know?
Oh.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
um, Thank you. It's a gift to the world to like give and receive all of these connections. But I can answer about Yenticon. It sounds like that's what you wanted me to talk about, Denise. So Yenticon, first of all, the name is amazing in and of itself. And I don't know if I was the one to think of it or one of my Yenta friends, like Eliza Ben Shalom or Danielle thought of it. But either way, the name came about and I was like, it needs to happen just because the name is so cool. But we as Yentas were really fascinated by this concept of Yenta because there's a lot of ancient wisdom, you know, in matchmaking in Judaism, right? It's a part of our lineage, it's a part of our history. There was a Yenta in society. Yenta is a Yiddish word, which is a language that is at this point like dead and gone, aside from like one linguistic institute. But these words hold a lot of meaning. And this one word also carries a lot of stigma. So a lot of, you know, traditionally women who like grow up in a Jewish community, they'll get labeled as like a Yenta if they're a gossip. And that's what I was labeled as well. But the fact is that like people are interested in what other people are doing, right? We're interested in being in the know. And the Yenta is the person that's in the know. And when you take it to a higher level, it's someone who wants to do this connection work, this sacred work that's a part of, you know, a part of Jewish communities and a part of, I mean, Indian communities. It's not, you know, just Jews. We just have this word assigned to it. And we're just like so fascinated about like, how do we take this concept and flip it on its head? And so, honestly, one of my favorite things about YentaCon, which was a conference that was the first of its kind that brought together all these types of Jewish connectors, Jewish matchmakers, non-Jewish matchmakers who work with Jewish clients. It was the first time that we ever really tried to do this because the only other two Jewish matchmaking conferences that existed, there was one that happened in Jerusalem and one that happened in Montreal. And it was really for people who are more religious matchmakers who've been doing matchmaking for a very long time. It's just a different model, right? They do it as a mitzvah. So I don't know if people are listening that are Jewish or not, but I feel like I have to define these words
Of
without.
course, please
So
do. Yeah.
Frankie, what's a mitzvah?
It's like doing good. You're just giving back. I think of it as doing an act of kindness.
An act of kindness or a deed, right?
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be doing these things. So a mitzvah match is one that you make and you don't think about money or anything like that. Although the model with religious people is that like you would give, like the families give something to the matchmaker after they actually get married and paired off. This system works very, very well among religious communities because people like are paired with a match. They go on like 3, 4, 5 dates and like they get married, you know. It's a very nice system. You get paid pretty quickly and people are young and primed and ready and taught to get married at that age, right? Anyways, I'm kind of talking a lot about this concept of a yenta, but like it was the first of its kind where we brought together all these walks of life to talk about matchmaking. And as far as I know, Frankie, it's the first ever like matchmaking conference where people stood up on stage and like said, "Hey, I'm looking for a match for this and this person who can help me."
Pretty
Did that
cool.
happen?
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us more about that. We weren't there. Well, I wasn't there. Frankie was there. But tell us
Yeah.
more. Like,
Yeah. A room full of matchmakers that, you know, a select few came with their list of clients that they wanted to connect and find matches for. So they got on stage and presented in a beautiful
that's
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's so beautiful. I love that.
Did some get dates from that?
So far I know of one. So far,
Good.
I mean, I don't know everything that's happening behind the scenes fully, but yeah, so far I know of one date that just happened in New York this past weekend.
And
YantaCon was just like a week ago.
I
So
already heard from somebody. So that reached out with a potential referral of a client that they, you know, an LGBTQIA client that, you know, they're wondering if we can work with. So yeah, the magic's already happening.
I love it. I think matchmakers are very overall, we're fascinating creatures, but the way that I describe myself is like I'm a sparky person and ideas are sparking. And so if you imagine a matchmaker talking to a room full of people and saying, I'm looking for help with this person, you know, the sparks are flying all around, right? But at the end of the day, like this is divine work, you know? And so an idea might come to you in that moment or later, but in order for you to like let these sparks fly and for these connections to happen, you need to have like connection in the room together. And that's why the more of us matchmakers knowing each other, the more people becoming yentas, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Community.
Totally.
Community
Yeah.
is so important. Yeah. It just expands your reach and our
Yes.
ability to find amazing matches for our clients, I think, when we're able to connect with other people who have a reach and yeah,
And
collectively. Yeah.
Let me ask you something, Frankie, because like community is important. So like it was, people from the Jewish community from different walks of life collaborating, and also people who aren't Jewish that want to help. And so what's your perspective on like matchmakers who want to be collaborative or help you with LGBTQ matchmaking who aren't gay?
Yeah, no, I welcome it. I mean, please, definitely reach out. I think that, like, for example, we're collaborating with a matchmaker right now who's pretty much, works with heterosexuals, and we're needing more information. Like, there are certain nuanced things like gender presentation, gender spectrum that are really, really important. Like, how do you present in terms of masculinity, femininity? Are you androgynous? Are you soft butch? Are you butch? Are you, you know what I mean? Are you a lipstick lesbian? These are all terms that are so familiar in our community, but to a heterosexual matchmaker, they may not be asking these nuanced questions that we need to nail down. Like, our clients are clear. They want to meet. This is the range. It's a little, you know what I mean? It might be a very narrow range, and we better get it right. So we
Yes.
just ask more questions to the matchmaker, the straight matchmaker. Like, what's her vibe like? And then we'll just start to figure it out, because our client's specific, and we just want to make sure if we're going to coordinate an intro that that person's not too femme, not too butch, depending on what they want. So
And then the straight or hetero matchmakers must be like,
yeah,
like I don't know how to answer all those questions,
we
It's
help
a
them.
brand new world.
Yeah,
We're speaking a totally different language to them, right? Because they've never thought about that before. And so, you're taking on like a hetero client. Those are not the things that you're asking,
for sure.
at all. Yeah.
like a
Do
male
people ever
client.
ask you for a gold star lesbian? Do people ask for that?
No,
No,
but they're
okay.
proud. It's a badge of honor.
Like, would you ever be like, and she's a gold star lesbian? You know what I mean? If she's proud
No.
of it?
Okay,
No.
Michal, what's a gold star lesbian?
Well, I guess it depends on how you define sex. So
No, just in general. Like, most people think of it as, okay, they have never had sex with a
I think,
cis
yeah,
man.
but I think it's specifically like penile vaginal sex. Is
Intercourse.
what I'm Yeah,
Okay.
intercourse.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I think it's intercourse with a cis male. Um, and they're proud of it. They'll just say it. It'll be part of it'll come out in the interview. We don't ask that question because really
No,
it's not doesn't make a difference in terms of matching, but and compatibility, but yeah.
they'll tell you.
People are just happy when they get gold stars.
Yeah. And now it's actually I've been doing this work a long time. It's less common today because I think the younger generation is just more kind of exploratory, open, and inclusive in their thinking. So there's been a
Mhm.
paradigm shift compared to my generation, Generation X. So yeah. So Michal,
Cool.
tell us, okay, like, where do you focus on? You're in Philly, your business is
Yeah.
based in Philly. Do you focus on Philly? Do you work with people all over the country? And how are you different from, like, say, how's your approach different? Unique.
Yeah, I live in a very unique and interesting city that's historic and very community based. Philly is an interesting place. And I mean, my niche is for sure the city in many ways. I don't exclusively work with Jewish people, but people are naturally drawn to me because of my Hebrew name. And I specialize in people who need a little bit of an upgrade that results in some level of transformation because I believe that everything is energy. And what I see nowadays is a lot of stuck energy in people who are frustrated by dating, and I'm sure you see the same thing. And that stuck energy puts people in a very closed state as opposed to a receptive state. And so, look, I work with all types of people. Oftentimes it's men, but not only men. And the type of upgrade that I'm talking about is inner outer work. And so my job is to really get to know people, right? I love getting to know people. Philly's small and big. It's like a small, big village in many ways. I love getting to know people one on one, having like coffee dates. It gives me a joy. And then when it's my client, I get to know them even more deeply, like their fears and their insecurities and their relationship history, and basically what any matchmaker does. But like my goal in Philadelphia is to get to like 2 degrees of separation where people like, okay, I'll give you an example. Like a couple that I matched like went out for sushi. This was a few years ago, and like the guy at the restaurant, no, there was a guy who was like kind of sitting at the corner near them. He was like, wow, you guys are really in love. How did you guys meet? And they were like, oh, a matchmaker. And he was like, was she Michal? And, and I'm like, oh man, like that's exactly what I want to happen in
Oh,
Philadelphia.
cool.
Like just like people associate, me with being the matchmaker. Although I don't totally love the word matchmaker. I think I'm like so much more than that. Like I'm a conduit and I'm a connector and all of these things. But yeah, that's my goal in Philadelphia. That being said, like I can make connections and collaborations across all forms, right? I love bringing people together. I can make a conference happen from thin air and make my mom's
Yeah. With
ancestors proud, right?
two
I
months notice.
with two
Like,
months notice and get people to fly all over to come here. Like I create dating events. I've done like, connection events, speed dating, all of these things. I know that's your forte as well. So, yeah, I'm just sort of like figuring it out and seeing where the wind takes me instead of staying hyper focused on one thing. But like in general, people.
you said something interesting. I would love to hear more about it, which is like how I think you said stuck, or there are people like today, there's this, around dating, they're struggling.
Yeah. I mean, I hope when I talk about this, it makes people feel almost normal, but I think that we're living in this social experiment and we don't know what to do with it because, okay, in the 90s came Match.com, and then like all of a sudden the swipe was invented, and the level of fatigue that I see now is even worse than it was in the beginning of the pandemic when we still had the same apps. So I'm not seeing anything like really revolutionary coming over the dating world aside from swift in-person events or online dating events that are bringing back like those old school modalities, because the frustration that people feel when they've already been using this swipe modality for so long, it's just this like it's this level of exhaustion that when people meet with me, they just have to like let it out over how frustrated they are about it. And I'm like, you're not alone,
Yeah.
you know?
I wonder
Yeah.
too if it becomes like a hamster wheel where you're just like, you're on it, you're like, this is what I'm doing. I'm swiping, and you get out of the feeling state, like the visceral, like these are all people. Like you forget that they're human. These are people behind their profiles.
Yeah.
And you're just going through the mechanics of,
Let me
right?
get there quick. Let me get to the reward. Let me get to the reward. But unfortunately for most people, there isn't a reward, right? And so it's like that hope of depletion, that hope of, right? And so, yeah, so you're on this hamster wheel of hopeful possibilities, and then you're not getting that. It's got to be frustrating. It's
Yeah.
designed to be frustrating. I
It's
mean,
designed to be deleted, but it's also
but
designed to
it's
give you a dopamine rush, right?
absolutely
So it's
what is
you go up, you go down, you go up, you know what I mean? It's like dopamine, serotonin hits, feels good. You matched with somebody that you're excited about. You mutually are excited about each other. The hope is that. And then you go out on a date, and I think people aren't making the effort that they need to really to
Mhm.
put in the effort to really get to know somebody. They're looking for that spark. I wonder if this comes up for you too, Michal, in your work.
Never.
This right. Oh, the spark. Frankie, the spark wasn't there. I'm not interested in a second date. Did you like anything they talked about? Are you curious about learning more about them? Maybe the spark can develop. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. So, but then they're back on the app and they're back into that same, right? So I think after a while, you just get into a mode of you're stuck in that mode. And somebody like you and like us can help them kind of step away from that and really look at what is the intention here, and are we really putting in the effort to allow really like the opportunities to present themselves, or are we saying no, we're so used to swiping, what is it, right? No, it's left, right? No, no, no.
Oh, no. Mhm.
if that's you're on a pathway, neuronal pathway of like, no, I'm rejecting all these people. It's easy to just continue. Just keep rejecting because you're already on that pathway. You're running on that, right? On that path. So something behavioral to consider.
And probably a lot of it is out of trauma, right?
Yeah.
The way you're
Yeah.
able to just say no to things, you know? I don't know. I think one of my gripes about dating right now is how easy and willing people are to like talk to their friends or their married people or other single people and be like, oh, and this guy sucked because of this. And like, would you believe that he did this? You know, like really how poorly people speak about each other and how much expectations are on the line and like how hard it is to like live up to someone. And I just read a quote today of like, it was just talked about how like strive to be the person who like doesn't like knows that you know things aren't always good but always sees the good, you know.
Yeah.
and for and for some reason when you put on your like dating goggles or whatever you just stop seeing the good.
Exactly. Because we're busy protecting ourselves. We don't want to get hurt. We don't want to get rejected. We don't want to be disappointed. And
So we'll
Hollywood's
just
shown us that it's supposed to be, right? Rainbows and unicorns.
Mm-hmm.
Denise, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was like, so then we disappoint ourselves, right? We stop it before it can start so that we don't experience all of those things. Yeah. And the other thing
Yeah.
I was going to say to your point about, looking for how we look for things that are so wrong. When I was coming up, there was a rule, like this was the rule in the house. If you don't have anything good to say, you don't say anything at all. But now it's like we find everything bad to say about someone, to justify our actions, why we won't go on the date, why they're not worthy of our time. They didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't do, and we've taken that control and that empowerment away from ourselves to be able to be on a great date or really get to connect with a great person just for that. It's almost as if we're looking at the end goal, and we're not even looking for the friendship part at all or getting to know them.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's going to get a takeaway from this, but I think that to not say anything at all is really difficult. Like I totally understand that rule, but there's a place where people need to dump. But I was just watching this TED Talk and it talked about how like complaining is the lowest form of communication, you know? And when you think about communication on this like hierarchy, you know, I think that when you're able to like see the good and talk about the good, you know, like that's really a mitzvah. That's putting some like positive energy out into the universe and bringing your communication to this higher level. And I'm not trying to get people to do any magical thinking, but at the same time, like when you really look at when you're gossiping in a poor way about someone or being like, oh my God, like he sucked on the date. He was definitely like autistic, like all these ways that people can be so, it's a very low form of communication. And I understand you have to get it out, you have to dump and you're frustrated, but like, how can you connect to your higher self, you know, and the higher good?
Compassion. Like we need to have more compassion for each other. We are all imperfect. We all are works in progress. And like, I'm like, where's the generosity of spirit and compassion? We need more of that.
Yeah, but the dating doesn't give the container to create compassion.
Mm-mm. Very black and white.
Yeah. Very swipe left, swipe right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Very goal oriented. And so what I really focus on like coaching my clients is to change their goals, to like shape their goals a little bit differently so that they can connect to their higher self.
Yeah. So is it like, or do you give them some reality testing? Like maybe because I think a lot of them have unrealistic ideals because they've been told they deserve it. They deserve the best, the very, very best, because they're a catch, right? So they're looking for perfection. So is there a way in which you help them be more realistic, more realist?
Yeah, put them in their place.
Right. In a loving, kind, gentle way.
It's the struggle of all matchmakers. It's our struggle, you know, because this is a form of like mobility in life to date up, right?
Yeah.
But Frankie, we were talking. I'm so shocked about what we talked about. If you like in person when we were meeting about like what do you do when your standards are so high, and what you told me,
I
you were
don't
like,
remember. What did I say?
you're like, and you lower them. Like it's difficult because when your standards are so high, you have to be careful, right? Because your dating pool only consists of the people who like you and are interested in you. And so, what are you doing to your dating pool?
You're missing out
You're missing
on
out.
potential. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
you're missing out on so much. It's hard.
Yeah.
I think that you both need to explain that more for our audience so they can get a full picture of what you're talking about.
My thought about it is that, and I want to hear from you, Michal, but the idea that, we need to know our value. We need to have like self-confidence, self-worth, and feel worthy of somebody that is our equal, not to date down. That's not the idea. But
Mhm.
like if you're somebody who really works on yourself, like you have done all the things, right? You go to therapy, you nurture your body by being physically active, you feed your body healthy food, not processed foods, you get good sleep, you're living a balanced, healthy lifestyle, and you want to meet somebody who's an equal in that way, and that has done internal work, right? They've done, like I said, some therapy. They're reaching for more, and every day they're working to do better and evolve. Many people, right, that you're like, you may want to meet an equal to you, but like people are, right? Some people are still on that path. They're working towards it. Their end goal is to be, is to really live that, but they're not there yet. Why wouldn't that be a good match? Somebody who
That's right.
gets it. They want that for themselves too, but maybe they have ADD. It's a perfect example. Like maybe they're really distracted. It's hard for them to get in alignment, but they see the value of being in alignment, and you could help them get there because you're doing it. You're practicing it successfully. That could help. You're modeling it for that person. So that's what I mean. Like having that somebody who has that value, they get it. They may not be there. They may not be where you're at. Doesn't mean they're not right for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't like hearing that you need to lower your standards, and that's where like Lori Gottlieb got so criticized on her book, Marry Him, which I actually love that book. But I think it's that when you're looking for a partner, if you're really someone who's like done the healing work and thinks all these things about themselves, it's you think you've gone through so much like personal evolution, but it's a lot of self-work. And then when you're searching for a partner, I really think it should be about like, how can this person contribute to my evolution? And the reality is, you don't know like who's going to shape that evolution in you. It might have nothing to do with like their salary and their height or whatever, and like the work that they've done on themselves. They're going to make you work on yourself so deeply. And I mean, like the simple thing of like an introvert versus with an extrovert combo, the way that it like challenges you and makes you work on yourself to have somebody with a different level of energy, you know?
Yeah, it challenges us. And we get presented with situations where like we may feel like we're not that competent to, like we don't feel that capable. And that's a learning opportunity to grow.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So it's true. You don't know. And why foreclose those opportunities for ourselves?
Yeah. Yeah.
For clothes.
Shut it down. Yeah.
Shut it down.
Yeah. I mean, like I do ask people sometimes, like, haven't you ever had that experience where you like met someone, but and like you didn't realize it at the time, but they turned out to be the best lover you ever had? You know, like you don't know who that person is going to be, who's going to bring you to that level or who's going to bring about that evolution. It's so hard to know what it looks like, but then as matchmakers, we ask people to describe it. But then the reality is we're like, but like, do you really know,
Yeah.
what's going to happen on a cosmic level to bring about that evolution or that pleasure in your life or all of those things?
We make assumptions based on the little information that we're given early on. We have preconceived ideas about what they mean. We make assumptions and then we run with it. Like we
Yes,
already know, because that person chose this profession, because they chose to live in this certain area. Like I'll try to coordinate dates sometimes with people in a certain town, right? They're like, oh no, she lives in that town. They're
So this
already
means this.
judging
Hmm.
because she chose to live in that town. That must mean something about her. And they take
Right.
take it away. They just go on and tell me all about their preconceived ideas about why. That's
It's
foreclosure right there.
absurd. Yeah, that's foreclosure for sure. It's absurd that, yeah, that just based on where some thousands of people live there and everyone thinks like this.
Who knows? Maybe
This
there's
is the
right.
thought.
There's a
Yeah,
maybe who knows why they chose it.
why
Maybe
they
they
live
didn't.
there.
Yeah, maybe it's circumstantial. Maybe for now, for the time being, that's where maybe their ex-partner had to be there for, had for work. And that's because they live in this like podunk town or whatever, a town that isn't sophisticated and right.
Hmm.
Um,
That's why to circumvent this, like the only solution that I'm like really seeing so clearly to myself is just like to have events like virtual and in person where people don't get this like luxury of seeing 5 different photos and like a cheat sheet of like
for
height
sure.
and weight or whatever, and take the person for who they are. That's so old school, but that's like how it used to be. And then you have to be so daring to ask someone for their phone number. So when I run dating events in Philly and there's usually 150 people and like people walk away with like having people's Instagram handles and asking for their phone number. And I'm like, what an ancient practice. Well, okay,
Beautiful.
however people used to.
Yeah.
But like just the challenge of being like, can I get your number? There's so much safety in doing it on the internet, and it's so much more risky when you're doing it in person. So like married people tell single people like, put yourself out there, put yourself out there. And what I love is seeing people come to a dating event, not necessarily falling in love and finding the man of their dreams, but like there's like 2 categories. There's the people who like come to my events and they look around, they go, oh, there's nobody here for me, or they walk out. It happens all the time. Walk out. They go, oh, there's nobody here for me, and they walk out. And then the
Yeah.
second people are the ones who like stay and be like, yeah, I got a few phone numbers today, or I gave out my phone number a few times tonight. And I'm like, that is playing the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to win
Absolutely.
the game if you don't show up to play.
No.
And showing up isn't just the show up and walk out way,
That's
No,
right.
looking on
Take a
the
peek, look
surface.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happens to us too in our events. People will come into the speed dating, whether it's online or in person. They'll take a look and they'll look and see who online, who's in the boxes, and they'll bounce. And I
Mm.
think, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for you. I feel so bad because you've missed this opportunity to really connect with some super great people and maybe learn something.
They don't get it, right? They're their worst
Yeah.
enemy. They're getting in the way of their own success. One is to learn, right? To learn something new, to grow themselves. Maybe their match isn't in the crowd, fine, but it's an opportunity to learn, to connect with interesting people. Doors open,
Absolutely.
opportunities present themselves when we put ourselves out there. And nobody's better than anybody else. That's the other thing. There are a lot of people walking around thinking that they're the shit. They're the better than anybody else. No, not so much.
Everybody
Mm.
is, I know, unicorn is my pet peeve word because everybody thinks that they're a unicorn. And I'm like, well, everybody can't be a unicorn. Right? Everybody can't be a unicorn.
I don't know,
Everybody has a
Denise. I
special
think we're all
snowflake
unicorns.
though.
Zero.
We're all unicorns.
I do have like a unicorn category though sometimes for my matchmaking when I meet, but like the way that I label a unicorn is someone who's open, like the levels of openness. Like I would date down in age, I would date up in age, like I'm open to kids or not, like whatever. I'm like unicorn. When I see that openness, that's what strikes me as a matchmaker.
Love that.
I
Yeah,
think people
Yeah.
don't know how to
I
make the
like that.
most of
I
this
like that version.
matchmaking. Oh, thank
No.
you. People don't know how to make like the most of this matchmaking process, and we like try to tell them, but like the way that you're gonna get like the matchmaker or your coach to like love you is by like creating those windows of openness.
Yes. And if we love you, we're gonna bust our butt to like find you somebody amazing. That's the thing. It's like when there are clients that mistreat me, I'm like, why? Why are you mistreating me? I should be the person in your life that you treat with respect, care, consideration, appreciation, right? We're not, it's like, it's sort of like house help. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm one of the team,
Mhm.
you know? But
Yeah.
no, it's so much more
Yeah.
than that. So much more.
Else. Nobody's better than anyone else. And how is it serving you to treat your matchmaker as, you know, being better than you. And then the people that you meet on a Zoom call and you walk out, you know, within everybody is a teacher.
Yes.
Absolutely. And all life is relationships. Every relationship is so meaningful. We never know what we're going to get, or what we're going to share. So,
yeah. So if you're listening, you're thinking right now, oh my gosh, they're talking about me. Make a decision to do it. Like, just next time, try something different. Just stretch yourself, It won't kill you to do it. And then I would say probably pretty guaranteed that you'll be surprised by something positive coming out of it. Like, it makes me think of, like, sometimes when I'm exhausted, and Michal, you can probably relate to this. When my kids were little, like your kids, and I was really hustling to build the business, I would have to go to events a lot, live events, in-person networking, all of that. And sometimes I'm like, I just don't want to go, right? But I would go because I would say to myself, there's got to be I got to go because there's something good that's going to come out of it. And like 100% of the time, something good came out of it. I never left any of those events without making at least one connection that I was excited about. So I
I
don't
love
know
those
if you
things.
have.
I went to one last night. So I went to two networking events. I'm a hustler. I went to two events yesterday, and I went to one and I met this woman who's like we went to I was like a branding woman's workshop. It was cool. And we were talking at the end, and she was like, before I came to this event, I did my soul marketing. And I was like, what's that? She was just like, I was just in the shower and I just said, like, like, universe, like, bring me a beautiful soul today. She was like, that's what I do. I like make a mantra to myself. And she was like, and I met you. And I was like, oh, and I was like, I'm trying to Google it right now, like soul marketing, and I'm not finding it. And she wrote to me today and she was like, have you done your soul marketing today? And I really love that, for you to just like kind of take this time to go within and like ask the universe, like, bring me someone beautiful, bring me a beautiful energy, And then when you see it, when you see that the universe delivered on something, you say, thank you. Thank you for bringing me someone who's a beautiful soul.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful.
That gratitude is so important. We need more of that today. I say it a lot. Just every day, take some inventory about what you're grateful for, because there are so many blessings around all of us. And I know there's a lot going on in the world that is just very, very painful. But at the same time, there's also a lot of blessings. And it's important to stop and slow down and open your eyes wide and see it and appreciate it. And even the people in our lives that we like, that give us love and attention and care, look at them and just let them know, appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Dr. Frankie. I appreciate you, Denise, although I just met you today.
Denise is
Thank
awesome.
you.
I did
I
my soul
appreciate
marketing.
You
There you
did.
go. And look, and thank you, universe. Thank you.
Thank you, universe, or whatever, however spiritual you are, like
Mhm.
it just, I think it helps in this process to see it all as being divine, and that understanding that where you're at is okay,
Exactly. Yeah. As long as we're working, I think we need to be working in a forward motion, like working to further develop, to evolve, not to be satisfied with status quo in terms of ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It does.
For
It
sure.
does.
For sure.
I was wondering, Dr. Frankie, since we're both like sexologists, like what's the connection here between like sexuality and dating? And I was just thinking it's like so layered, what makes your sexuality unique? What makes your dating experience unique? What are you bringing? What are you bringing to both of these aspects of your life?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting as a matchmaker, it doesn't, I don't know how deep you go into sex and, in that realm with your matchmaking clients, but with mine, there's like there's often not enough opportunity to really explore that. And they're like here for a different reason in their mind. They're like, you find me a match. And now, it's like, well, Are you into kink? Are you into BDSM? Are you pretty vanilla? That's the extent of it. Like, what do you want? What kind of like sexual partner do you want? I definitely ask that. And how important is sex to you? But it doesn't go much deeper than that. Unless we do
Okay, but
coaching.
still taking it out of like the secrecy, right?
Yeah. I mean, we talk, it's important to find out, right? Like, because that's important for compatibility. Like, if somebody's like kinky and they're into toys and like they like to explore and experiment, and another person is pretty traditional, I don't know.
Evolution, that's where some evolution could happen.
For sure,
Well,
but they've got to be open.
they have to be open.
Got to be
Absolutely.
open.
Yeah.
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 And usually if somebody's open, they're already like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like I've explored that, or I want to explore that. So
true.
yeah. I say like we need to say yes more than no. Like that's my goal these days. It's like when an opportunity presents itself, don't find reasons to say no. Like Yentacon is an example. Like I was like, I can't do that. Oh my gosh, I just went to a conference, whatever, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I can't go to another one. Why not? Why, who said I can't?
Right. Why not?
Ah. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy.
That's like a perfect example. Like in my mind, I was like, oh, that's excessive. That's not necessary.
I already know what I'm doing. I've been matchmaking for 2 decades. What are you guys going to teach me? You know what I mean? I'm better than everybody else or whatever it is, you know.
Or I met everybody already 3 months ago. It's going to be the same people. I get there. No, it's sure there's some overlap. There are plenty of people I'd never met. Now I'm in a room of all Jewish people, mostly Jewish people, many, you know, and allies. And, you know, and I get to be in Philly and be like, see, I hadn't been in Philly in 20 years. And see how it evolved and changed. And like, there's just so many blessings in that, you know? And then I got to meet another matchmaker, April, who has been in the industry 25 plus years, who I've wanted to meet, who's in California, but I wasn't meant to meet her in California in the last 16 years. I was meant to meet her at Michal's conference in Philly. So
thanks, universe.
you see, yeah, my point is that say yes, and the universe will deliver.
Yeah, say yes more than no. I love that.
Michal, we're like up. Time is running out, and I love all the like. Wow, this is so. We didn't even focus so much on matchmaking. It's so interesting to see where these conversations go. You know, love
It's
it.
about connection. It's about connection.
Yeah,
more than anything.
For sure.
Okay, so I want people to know how to find you. If they want to work with you in a coaching capacity, if they want to attend your dating events, if they want to hire you as a matchmaker, like tell us, where can they find you? And yeah.
I mean, I have a website. It's Michal Matches, or sliding into my DMs on Instagram is a good way. Michal Matches, or then on TikTok, I'm Jewish Matchmaker. Although I don't just work with Jews, but yeah, I'm more than happy to connect and do a strategy session.
And do you do mostly coaching, or is it a combination matchmaking and coaching?
Combo, and then like sometimes like having an online dating concierge at the same time, and then sometimes finding people matches, like all of the above. All of the above.
Awesome.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Thanks
Such
for
a
having me,
great
y'all.
time. Absolutely.
And thank you all for hanging in with us and being here. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next week. Kisses, hugs. Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye.